Okay guys, so in this video I'll be talking about two things. Is Sabo as strong as a Navy Admiral? And also, how powerful do I believe Edward Weevil is? The reason I'm doing two subjects in one video is because these videos would be extra short if I didn't, just like my previous one. So first off, I want to state something. I will only be using the source material, which is the manga, because in the anime they added in some extra filler fighting that might throw some people's perception of what actually happened off. Also, the anime made Sabo and Fujitora look dead even, which I believe that's not what Oda showed in the manga. So let's take a look at what actually went down between Admiral Fujitora and Sabo. Sabo confronts Fujitora because he wants to protect his little brother from a perceived threat. Sabo attacks Fujitora, but Fujitora blocks the attack with his sword. At this point, their scuffle officially begins. Most of their scuffle happens off screen, but a few chapters later, we finally pan back over to them. What we are shown is that Sabo seems to be panting, trying to catch his breath, while Fujitora is not. Also, Sabo is visibly scratched up, while Fujitora isn't. What these things tell us is that Fujitora clearly had the upper hand in their scuffle. And finally, here we can see that Fujitora uses an attack called Raging Tiger, which pushes Sabo off his feet and forces him to go into his Logia form. Sabo again attacks Fujitora, and he again casually blocks it. Except this time, Fujitora lets on to Sabo that they are not enemies. What Fujitora essentially tells Sabo here is that he does not want to kill Luffy, and that he is actually hoping Luffy succeeds. So in actuality, this whole time Fujitora was simply dragging his feet, so to speak, and Sabo was the perfect excuse for him not being able to move forward and kill Luffy. Fujitora is playing his own game and is trying to expose the Shishibukai without his subordinates finding out. So what does this mean for Sabo? It means that not only did Fujitora have the upper hand on him, but Fujitora wasn't even trying. So my answer is no. Sabo currently is not as strong as the Admirals. However, it's of my belief that Sabo is as strong as the Yonko First Mate. I believe he is actually at the top of that tier. It makes sense to me that after getting the Mare Mare no Mi, that he is stronger than Luffy, considering he has been trained by the Revolutionary Army since he was a kid, and became the second in command of the Revolutionary Army without a Devil Fruit. So to me it makes sense after getting a Devil Fruit that Sabo is a bit stronger than Luffy now. Also, Sabo as a child was always stronger than Luffy, so I think Oda wants to keep it like that for at least a little while longer. However, by the end of Wano, this might no longer be my opinion. Okay, so now let's move on to the second part of this video. How powerful do I believe Edward Weevil is? Of course, there will be a lot of speculation on my part, but from what we have seen, what we have been told, and where we are in the story, I think I have a decent understanding of where he will be power-wise. Alright, so what do we know about Weevil? We know that Weevil has wiped out 16 Whitebeard division commanders, is a warlord, and is said to have the same strength as Whitebeard in his youth. To me, the most important one there is what Kizaru said about him. I don't think people understand just how powerful Weevil could be if this is true. So firstly, I'm aware that Kizaru said in his youth and not prime. However, in Whitebeard's Vivid card that came out recently, an interesting piece of information surfaced that if you think about it, could mean that Weevil could be Admiral Yonko level if we wank him a bit. So in Whitebeard's Vivid card, it says, and I quote, Whitebeard became the world's strongest man well before Roger's death. What does this mean exactly? Well, when Roger died, Whitebeard was in his prime. I believe he was in his late 40s, but it says he became the world's strongest man well before Roger died. So this potentially means that Whitebeard got his title in his youth. And what did Kizaru say? He said Weevil seems to have the same strength as Whitebeard in his youth. So this could mean that Weevil may actually have Yonko level strength or close to it. However, I'll be honest and say that that seems like a reach and some pretty big wank. Now, what do I personally believe? I think that Weevil is in the tier that is above Yonko First Mates but below Yonko themselves, so I think he is actually in the same tier where I put current Rayleigh. Narratively speaking, him being some sort of antagonist at this point in the story, it seems to only make sense that he is at bare minimum First Mate level, because if not, Luffy and his crew would destroy him. But I personally believe he will be a step above First Mates, just like Rayleigh currently is. I mean, Oda also seems to have a fight building up between Marco and Weevil, and I definitely don't think he will lose to Marco. Otherwise, all his build up and story progression ends right there, and he doesn't have any impact on the story. I guess Marco could somehow convince Weevil to stop his rampages and turn Weevil into some sort of good guy or something, but I'm not sure how I would feel about that, but I digress. Okay guys, so those are my current thoughts on where I believe Sabo and Weevil are power-wise. When looking at these things, I try and take as many things into account, including feats, statements, portrayal, etc. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I got someone out there to see things differently than they did before. Please comment and subscribe for more content. Thanks.